Hi fantasy managers, welcome to FPL Team Talk. In this video I'm going to go through my final draft team for game week 17. I'm going to go through the players that I'm going to finally select. I'm 90% sure of the side now that is in place. I'm going to go through the reasons why I've picked these players. So if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. Don't forget to click the like button, and in the meantime, let's get on with it. Let's just launch straight into it then. Initially, I had Pope into my first draft. I've now changed my mind about him. I think just for the money, even though I had money invested in him, I'm just going to go for Kepa. I just think it makes more sense to take that money out of my goalkeeping position and put it elsewhere on the side. And when I've looked at what I can do with it, I definitely think it's worthwhile. And Chelsea's fixtures look pretty good as well. So I have to keep an eye on press conferences just to confirm that Potter is going to play Kepa, and he's all right. He did play in the a friendly behind doors earlier on the weekends. Brentford, I think it was. So he looks to be all right, and he definitely looks like Potter's first choice. At 4.5, I don't think I can really turn that down. He will double up alongside Ward, who, again, for 4.1 is just a really cheap playing goalkeeper for Leicester, whose defence has been much improved as well over the last few games, if we can cast our mind all the way back to them. As well, if you put along the side the fact that they possibly will be investing in the transfer window, hopefully not in a goalkeeper, but that will only improve from an FPL point of view his defence. So 4.1, I'm just spending 8.6 in my goalkeeper's position. There's only a maximum ceiling that they can get in terms of those points, so I'm pretty happy with that. Kepa and Ward will make up my goalkeeping positions. Then we move into defence, and a player that I've had, again, I've got a lot of money invested in. I bought him at 5.3, he's now gone up to 5.9, so there is a bit of money invested in him, but I would keep him in any case. I would be paying 5.9 if I didn't have him. His XGI just looks really good. If you put on top of the fact that his XGI looks good, so good, and he's just keeping those clean sheets, and a Newcastle side that has done so well, it just adds up to a really good asset just for 5.9. The fixtures look pretty decent. I wouldn't say they look amazing, but Newcastle have just been possibly the story of the season so far. And look at his XGI. He takes set pieces, free kicks, corners. So he's right up there alongside of Trent, and he's keeping clean sheets. That just all makes for the perfect combination in FPL. Trippier, probably the number one pick, you'd say, for all defenders at the moment. Alongside him then, I've kind of bounced around between Cancelo, then I went to Kyle Walker, and then eventually I've settled for a Kanji. 90% sure I'm not going to change my mind. The only thing that could possibly make a difference to me is that he came off after 60 minutes in the AFL against Liverpool. Now, provided that wasn't for a knock and just purely for resting purposes or precautionary, then he will keep his place in the side. Otherwise, I will go to Walker. The toss-up between him and Walker was simply because I just think Akanji is just more nailed. He's played every single game since he's joined in that first week he came. So he looks like the number one choice for Pep. Maybe his versatility gives him an edge over the others. He doesn't offer much of an attacking threat, not like the likes of Cancelo. But again, I'm paying 2.4 less for him. So in terms of attacking threat, I just think that anything from him will be a bonus. But I do want a cheap way into that Man City defence. And I don't want a Man City defender who's just not going to be playing every other week. So Kanji seems to tick those boxes for me. And even though those fixtures get a little bit harder in 3 or 4 weeks, Man City can just keep a clean sheet against anyone. We know how good they are. Reece James means that I am doubling up on Chelsea defence. I'm not particularly targeting that Chelsea defence. They've not been that impressive so far this season. Let's hope they now keep some more clean sheets. But Kepa at 4.5 just looks too cheap to turn down. And then Reece James, just, if you played FPL last season, you'll know how explosive he can be. And let's just hope he's playing on that right-hand side as a wing-back and not in those centre-backs. They do appear to have a bit more choice in there. So hopefully Reece James as a wing-back, getting forward, his XGI just looks brilliant, 0.35. If he can just keep 1 or 2 clean sheets alongside it, he'll be another just perfect Chelsea asset. And with Bournemouth, Forest, then a double, which includes Fulham, okay, that looks pretty good. I'll be surprised if he starts all of those, given his injury history over the last sort of 9-10 months. But I would expect him to be starting at least 2 of the next 3, if not 3 of the next 4. And I'm pretty happy to take that if I'm honest at 5.8. So he comes in. Next, then, we start to look at players that are just going to enable me to get more money elsewhere, distributed across the side. Patterson, not picking up many clean sheets. He's got a game against Wolves. I wouldn't mind playing against that. Then you have the likes of Southampton later on. possibly that's another game that you would target. XGI doesn't look anything special, but for 4 million, I just don't mind putting him on the bench. And then lastly in that slot, purely because of the fixtures, and I know a lot of people are looking at Dalot and not sure where to go after that, I'm just looking at Luke Shaw. He's played a lot of minutes for Manchester United before the World Cup. He looks like he's a preferred choice at fullback. You mix that in with the fact that Forest, Wolves, Bournemouth just look like 3 cracking fixtures. And I am going quite aggressive on Man United. I'm not entirely convinced or sold by Man United, but those fixtures, I just don't think I can turn them down. And I think if you're going to make a difference and go up your leagues and improve your rank, so you are going to have to hit some fixtures pretty hard and be fairly aggressive. And that's what I'm doing. So Forest, Wolves, and then Bournemouth, 3 good fixtures, 4.8. XGI looks pretty decent. If we can put some clean sheets alongside that as well, that would be great. They do have Maguire and Lindelof still. I know they're missing Varane and Martinez, but there's still defensive cover in there. So Shaw gets the nod for me, and that makes up my back 5. I've got no huge premium assets in there, and as we'll see, that will benefit me when I'm going heavier with premium assets in midfield and up front. Starting off in midfield, I had gone Zaha, whose fixtures look pretty good in the short term, but I think they're as good, if not better, for Mount, Bournemouth and Forest. I think they've got, is it Fulham and Bournemouth, something like that for Palace, and then they've got the double, and then they've got Palace. So I do like those Chelsea fixtures. Mount's XGI has not been wildly impressive, but I'm backing Chelsea with those fixtures to score some goals. And the only people I can go to, really, I don't know who's guaranteed minutes up front. In midfield, it's got to be Mount. There's very few other choices to go for. Potter does seem to give him the minutes. So for me, Mason Mount gets it. Is a worry, but I think I prefer him at that price point over Zaha. And it's a little bit of a punt, but longer term, I think I'd prefer to go Mount now than have to check out Zaha and book a transfer in later on down the line, and they're exactly the same price. Then comes Somerville, who again for the next 2 fixtures probably won't feature. He has got a flag on, so I need to be careful with that. If I know it's not long term, I think I'll be happy to play him at 4.4 and put him on the bench. Scored in the last 4 games, been unbelievable for Leeds. Then you have those great fixtures coming up in 3 to 4, 5, 6 weeks time. So he would then feature then. But in the medium term, short term, not worried. He's just going to go on the bench anyway, and he's a really good enabler to let me do other things. Talking of enablers, probably the one great enabler that's been there this season is Andres Pereira, 4.6. Happy to have him on the bench. Happy to chip in. He's just always there as a safety net. Gets points as well. He's been brilliant so far this season. And with all these budget players and enablers, finally we can start to plough that money into some more interesting picks. KDB comes in 0.75. We know what he's all about. I want some Man City players because their fixtures look good. They've also got the potential double. That's not an absolutely confirmed double. Likely, you'd have to say, only if there's an FA Cup replay between City and Tottenham, either one of those taken to a replay, then they would have to rearrange that Tottenham fixture. With Tottenham playing at home to Portsmouth, you'd assume that's probably not going to play. If he does get that postponed, then possibly with just Man United away, I would then go to just put on Salah. But otherwise, De Bruyne looks really good. Disappointing World Cup, but he's nailed it in that Man City midfield. I would potentially have preferred to go with Foden, but just never sure with the minutes with him. And I just don't want to lose out. I need a City player in there that's going to play every week. And I'm just going to have to pay the extra money for De Bruyne to do that. So final slot in that midfield. Again, being quite aggressive, I told you about Manchester United fixtures. So I'm gone for Rashford. Those 3 fixtures, he looks to be in good form at the moment. Had a decent World Cup. 0.59, decent underlying stats with those fixtures in the side. Distraction of Ronaldo taken out of the picture. Rashford hopefully playing as far forward as he can go. 6.7, he looks like a good deal to me. I really like Rashford. And talking of Manchester United, I'm just going for it. I think he started in the EFL Cup. He's now had a little bit of training behind him, hopefully, and there's always the worry and the doubt with him. Martial isn't there of fitness. But those fixtures, I'm keeping him up front. His XGI has just been unbelievable this season, but I think that's been influenced by cameo performances coming off the bench, got some returns against Manchester City. He's just not going to keep up 1.27. But if he can come away with 2 or 3 returns in those 3 fixtures, I'll be really pleased. At 6.7, I think he's a cheap option playing against good fixtures up front for Man United, and Ten Hag clearly likes him, and he is the preferred choice at the moment. Then that's good enough for me. I really want to go for him. Next, I'm not going to spend too much time dwelling on Haaland. Everyone's got to have him in his side. I think it's suicidal not to have him in. And then finally, I am going to go for Harry Kane. People trying to talk me out of it. I just think maybe I'm biased. I don't know. I'm not a Tottenham fan, but the World Cup has really made me think what a great player he is. As if I needed any more convincing. The fixtures look okay, but I think they've got the double with Arsenal. Man City doesn't look great, but even then, look what he did last year when he went to the Etihad. He scored 2, did he? He can just score against when he's on pens. He's absolutely nailed. He's got 15 returns in the 16 games so far. People talk about Haaland, and I know Kane just chips away and gets points, but you know what? If he gets an assist or goal every game, I'm absolutely happy with that. 11.6. He is still quite expensive. I've got 3 premiums in the side, but I still think Kane is the one. Brentford, I can definitely see him scoring there. Villa, yes. Palace, yes. Double, then Fulham away. All decent fixtures, I think. I'm not a huge fan of Tottenham. I'm not sure I'm convinced about them. But I know Kane's going to play. I know he's going to play. And if they score goals, which they have plenty of attacking potential to do, he's going to be involved somehow or somewhere. So for me, 11.6, I'm happy to save the money on Somerville, Patterson, Andreas, and get Kane in. Because he can be explosive. He can score 2 or 3 goals in a game. So for me, that is my side. Let's now have a look at some of the different options that you could go for. So one of the obvious choices to go for is Mo Salah, and I'm and ahhing about him and KDB. I think when I've looked into it and I've looked at people on Twitter and they've sort of alerted to the fact that Liverpool's away form has just been not very good this season. Scored 7 goals away from home, 6 of their next 9 games or something like that are away from home. I do think Salah becomes a little bit more of a punt, and also you factor into it, a lot of other attacking options are not there. Does put me off a little bit, whereas I know KDB's going to play. I know how good Man City are. I know they're still chasing Arsenal. He's definitely going to play, as I know that Salah is. It just sways me slightly to KDB. However, I've got some money in the bank, so I'm only ever 1 move away from Salah. The worry is, I suppose, that if for some reason the only reason I can move from De Bruyne, I think, to Salah is if suddenly Salah just looks amazing. And I know what he can do, so it would almost be a knee-jerk reaction that's just jumping from one boat onto another when Salah's already hit a hat-trick. So I don't see that I'm going to be making that move. What could force me to make that move or start with Salah is if for some reason that double game week just becomes a single for Man City and they're away at Man United, then the Liverpool fixture looks a little bit more attractive. So then I could move to Salah. But I'm not going to know that before the deadline. So unfortunately, do I just stick to Salah and then wonder if that fixture is removed? If it's not, then I prefer to have gone De Bruyne. I think I'm just going to gamble that it stays there and De Bruyne gets the nod. I don't like going without Salah. Previous seasons, it would just be an absolute unforgivable sin to not have him. And you know what? He doesn't become a bad player every night. And his XGI is still brilliant. And Liverpool's overall stats in terms of goals, scoring 3rd in the league, expected goals. So it's all there. But we know what KDB, Kane and Haaland can do. So I just no way of getting them all in the side. So one of them has to drop. Which one? I think I'm potentially just going to have to go Salah, I'm afraid. Sorry, Mo. Other players, it could go Trent. I just feel I've been burnt with him before, but he missed the other game through illness. He should be back for the Boxing Day. Still, his underlying stats look great, but he's just not producing any of those. He is possibility. I don't think I trust that Liverpool defence either, though. He's almost becoming a differential now, but I'm not interested in going on Trent, unfortunately, anymore. He just has hurt me and it's a lot of money. The other choice is to just downgrade. I could downgrade Mount to an Elmore or someone like that and go up to an Akanji to a Cancelo. That is a possibility. I'm just getting that guaranteed minutes therefore. But I think I'm pretty safe with Akanji's minutes. So I'm not too bothered about that. So Cancelo for me, Akanji gets the nod. But I can definitely see what you'd go for Cancelo. Elmore is another option. He just had a brilliant season so far. I'm just not sure if he can continue. That's all I'm worried about. The stats look good. Mount for me as the fixtures. Newcastle fixtures don't look unbelievable that I want to go on to Almiron. Maybe it'll hurt me. Maybe I will go. When Rashford's fixtures start to turn in 3 weeks' time, maybe then it'll be time to jump on Almiron. Or let's see who else is about. But I don't think Almiron's a bad pick either at all. And then finally, I think Mitrovic again instead of Martial. He's on 4 yellows, so that worries me a little bit. So he could possibly miss one of the next 3 or 4 games. He's got a double coming up that also, I think, again, does look good. He's cheaper than Martial. So again, I could reinvest that money somewhere else and upgrade maybe a Rashford and Andreas or a Somerville. So that temptation's there. I just like Martial's 3 fixtures over the next 3 weeks over that of Fulham's. But we all know Mitrovic had a brilliant season so far. On pens, absolutely nailed. I can see why you would go for Mitrovic instead of Martial. I think I'm just going to be a bit more aggressive and go for Martial. I'm pretty much set on that at the moment. That's it for this one then, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think of my draft side. Are there any players who you think I am missing? Who is essential, do you think, for game week 17? In the meantime, I'll come back at you on Boxing Day before the deadline to talk about my team selection. So make sure you subscribe and you're available for that. In the meantime, take care and good luck.